No noise till Dave started hollering. Does that say
All
no
right.
internet?
Yeah, you're on.
It's news
You're
to me.
on. Sorry, guys, I had the audio off for a sec.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Today we are talking about how to survive a crisis and other questions that Mom has gotten asked. So we're doing a Q&A with Mom, so it'll be all kinds of things. But the big one that she keeps getting asked several times is, how do you survive a crisis? Because we've had plenty of crises in our life.
Or stay calm during a crisis, or what am I doing during
Can't get my computer to be quiet.
crisis?
Okay.
Press the mute button.
We are the authors of the Dining on a Dime cookbook. My mom, Jill, and me, Tara. I have 80 left. 80 left. We are getting down to the final countdown of this 20th anniversary edition. Some people asked, yes, it is wire bound so that you can just lay it back on itself, just like so. If you want, it also has color pictures right here. Now, this edition has how we wrote the book in it at the front. That is not going to be in the next edition. Not that anybody cares, but but we have full color pictures for several of the recipes. We can't do it for every recipe or our book would be this big, but only 80 copies left. livingonadime.com. Don't say I didn't warn you. Prices are going up when we get the new books in September. They started, are you guys ready? They started printing yesterday. So this is a moment. Okay. So, all right, here we go. Finally found myself. It's so bad when I lose myself.
I know.
Okay.
Confuses us all.
Put your questions in here.
Yeah, give us some questions. I'm going to answer a couple when we get started.
Yeah.
But if you have other ones, this is my last night here, so throw the
Yes.
questions in if you want.
Yes, so long, farewell. Oh, wait. Okay.
Ooh, Suzanne said she added $200 to her emergency fund.
Ooh,
Way to
Suzanne
go.
added $200 to
Yes.
emergency fund. You go, girl. That's great.
It
All right.
is.
Number one. Oh, dear. Now, Ricky really has a crisis. Won't have running water for possibly a couple of months. We've been there, too, actually. Okay, we're going to start with the first question, then we'll get to your question, Ricky. We had a couple of people ask Mom variations of the same question. Basically, how are you surviving in this crisis? Have you stayed home this whole time? Obviously not, since she's sitting here with me. Do you wear masks to the grocery store? How are you dealing with all of this? So, Mom, go for it. How are you surviving,
How am I
Mom?
surviving? Well, I almost feel, how do I want to say this? I started to feel guilty, and I don't believe in false guilt, because that's kind of like Satan attacking you. But to be honest, this was like
Heaven.
well, I don't know
I'm
how
in
to say this,
heaven.
because I realize people have been very, very sick, and even a lot of people lost their lives. But I have been through this type of thing in my life because of my age before, many times before, the same type of thing. I know they keep saying this is the first time ever, but like in the 60s, they had the Hong Kong flu. I had that, and it was really kind of even worse than
Yeah, they
than
said
this.
that was a lot worse.
It was a lot worse, and there was like 1 to 4 million people that died with that, you know,
Yeah.
and I got it. It was horrible. And so it's
4 million people died.
yeah. And so, you know, it's not that I'm not sympathetic or don't understand. I just, I've been there, done that. And so we didn't panic
And they didn't close
and
down
close
the
it
entire
down
country.
anything. It was just the flu, and people got sick and died. And, you know, I've had things happen. I've lost loved ones, and I know the pain and that type of thing. But that's life. You have to learn to
Life.
deal with that. And so that's what I'm going to try to talk about more, is how you deal with it, because you kind of go on with life. I heard a saying that said some people are so afraid of dying that they stop living. And we can't stop living. You just have to learn how to deal with these things and not shut down. Not shut down from anxiety and worry and all that type of thing, and panic. So that's kind of where I stand.
Now, Mom actually had the Hong Kong flu when it
Yeah,
came.
it was
She actually got
bad.
it, so she knows some of these things. It can be bad, and you can feel really, really sick.
Well,
We
I've
get that,
had
so.
pneumonia 10 times in my life. And I was sick 3 months with pneumonia. I cracked ribs from coughing so hard. We've had the chronic fatigue syndrome that's just been horrible. When we first got it, it was really bad. We were basically bedridden. So, you know, I do know how bad it can be. So I don't want to take any of this lightly. But that being said, I'm very much an introvert. And so being shut in by myself was like really wonderful for me. And it was like having a 3-month vacation. It was so peaceful and so quiet. I wasn't worried about anything, and I did all kinds of stuff. Like I didn't curl my hair every time I washed it, and I didn't wear makeup. Now some of you need to do that, because if you're getting depressed and discouraged, you need to get up, get dressed, and do that. But for me,
and
it was.
you don't want to scare yourself when you look in the mirror and then have
Are
other.
you saying I scared myself? You know, and so it depends on your personality. Me, it was a relief to wear what I want. Okay, this is too much information, but I didn't have to wear a bra this whole time, and it was wonderful.
Oh,
Am I not?
We
Is
don't
that
need that
X-rated?
picture in our heads.
It's a family show.
It's a
man.
family.
But
Sorry.
you don't want to get hurt by not wearing it either. So.
No. But you know, it was so nice, and it was just peaceful. I could do whatever I wanted to do all day long, and so I really enjoyed it. As far as wearing the mask, to be honest, it didn't change my life, because I don't go shopping all the time. I don't go out socially a whole lot. I go to the grocery store about every 2 weeks. So there wasn't a whole lot of change in my life. I did at every 2 weeks go ahead and go to the grocery store, and I didn't wear a mask when I went. I didn't know. I tried to honor the quarantine, you know, by staying home as much as possible, but at the same time, nobody was sure whether the masks were really helping. Nobody knew what was going on. They were all over the charts. You know, you get all this information and none of it gelled together. So I tried to just use a little common sense. I didn't wear the mask. If I had gotten sick, I wouldn't have gone out, of course, at all. After I came out of the store, I would use some hand sanitizer when I got in the car, but I do that anyway.
Well, tell them what Aunt Donnie does.
Oh, you know, everybody was panicking.
She's 85-year-old aunt. So mom's dad that just died, his sister.
Yeah, she hasn't stayed home, I don't think, hardly one day since any of this happened. But what she does, she said, I just soak a wash rag in Clorox water, squeeze it out, and put it in a little baggie, and I take it with me when I get in the car. I wipe my hands off with my Clorox rag and wipe my steering wheel, and off I go. And everybody was panicking over not having wipes, and how do you make wipes and this type of thing. This is what they did 85 years ago. You just do stuff like that and wash your hands.
If you don't use bleach, you can use Lysol in it or something like that.
And you don't have special, you know, wipes and stuff, things like that. And then when you got home, you brought the groceries in, and then you washed your hands really good with soap. And I just used a little bit of common sense. I didn't let fear and anxiety and worry and panic control my life. I tried. If you don't do that, if you keep that under control, you can use common sense in these situations. And I think you're better off doing it that way than, you know, listening to all the news. Now, first of all, I'm going to start out. We always forget there's 3 parts of every human being. You have the spiritual. You hear me say this all the time. I know you get sick of it, but it's so true. You have the spiritual, you have the emotional part, that part of your soul, and then you have the physical. We got kind of out of balance over into the physical part with all of this, and we forgot about the other 2. And whenever you get anything out of balance like that in us, it messes everything up. So we needed to keep things a little more in balance. But spiritually, you know, I have for years, I have to give total credit. To be honest, I have never felt so peaceful so calm and so comforted than I have in these past 3 months. It was just like, now you've got to realize, my dad died on Christmas Day. My husband died about 4 weeks later. Then it was about
ex-husband, for those
yes,
of you who don't know.
ex-husband.
Sorry.
About 6, but I still cared for him.
No,
so
I know, but I mean,
yeah.
for people who are new, if they
Yeah,
don't know the
yeah.
whole story, is what I was trying
And
to...
so 6 weeks later, we went into quarantine. Now, a lot of people would have gone over the edge with that type of thing, but I have never felt so much peace and comfort. And I've spent years, and it does take time. So don't get frustrated with yourself if it doesn't happen right away. I've spent years trusting, and I want you to listen to these words. You've probably heard them before, but I want you to really think about them. I have spent years learning to trust God totally, no matter what, and to obey Him. And I want you, when this is over, to look up the word trust and see what that means. And that's the way you need to react to God. It doesn't frighten me. If you know that the person that loves you most in the whole wide world and is all powerful, is taking care of you, what is there to be afraid of? That, if I got sick, it was because He knew some reason it would help either me grow or help somebody else. I mean, I know this may sound a little dramatic, but maybe because I got sick and died, they used my body and could figure out what kind of a vaccine it would save millions of lives. Don't ever be frightened of these things. They're always, if you're a Christian and you love the Lord and trust Him, they'll always work out for some kind of good. So I had my spiritual life. I didn't, when you feel that anxiousness come upon you, that worry, you've got to nip it in the bud. You can feel it coming on. Well, what if this, this could happen. Oh, on and on. What if this happens to my kids? What if my grandkids? You feel it coming. You stop it. You stop it right then and right there. Now, it's kind of like, okay, let's use adultery. If you're at the office and you see this good-looking guy or the good-looking gal and think, wow, maybe we could just go out for lunch. And you go out to lunch once and then twice. You're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. And that's the same way whether it's anxiety or worry or stress. You're asking for trouble by wallowing in it and keeping it going. And so how do you take care of that? First of all, when you feel it, you say, no, I'm not going there. Then you do something very practical. You stand up. If it doesn't go away, you immediately stand up. I mean, physically stand up. Get out of bed if you have to, if it's at night. Walk into the kitchen. You do the dishes. Walk in and do a load of laundry. Do something. Go pull weeds. Go for a walk. I don't care what it is. Physically get up when you start doing that and, get control of it that way. A lot of times that's all it takes, because Satan knows you're not going to mess with it. You're not going to deal with it. You're going to fight it. I mean, we have to fight this. It's easier to fight it than it is to live with it all the time. So don't think, well, that's just too hard, because it's easier to fight it and stop it than it is to live with it. And the thing is, then He knows you're going to not listen to Him. So by doing that stuff. Now, if it still continues, start singing. Sing a happy song. Sing a praise song. Sing something, even if you can't sing.
Or put on worship music.
Or put on worship music. Get the music going. Sometimes that doesn't always, most of the time it does. But sometimes it's so bad, the oppression, that I need something more. So what I do is, I have finally the past year or so learned, I pick up my Bible and I read it out loud. I don't sit and read it to myself. Now, if you've got the whole family there, that might be a little awkward, but I will read it out loud.
The Lord said, honor your mother and father so that you would live a long life, because if you don't, they will take you out.
You hear that, Dave?
I did that for Dave, who's right there.
But read it. Don't read one verse. You don't have to even concentrate it. I just start reading. And the first time I did it, I was down to like chapter number 10, and I'm still reading, and I could feel nothing was happening. And finally, just boom, it cleared up. The depression, the worry was gone.
And actually, along this lines, we have a new line of products we're coming out with that we tried to get done this week, but we just couldn't get it. But we have wall hangings that my sister-in-law made that we're going to start selling. And we hang Bible verses all over our house. Literally, our house has Bible verses all over the place.
Even by the toilet.
Even by the toilet.
That's one of the bigger ones.
We have the biggest ones next to the throne in the library. And so do things like, and then actually read them. If you do something like that, actually read them.
And what happens is you're thinking 10 chapters, well, it may not take that long, but if you're serious and you're what you're telling Satan is, I am not going to quit here. You can attack me, but I'm going to keep reading the scripture until you leave. Well, then the moments get less and less. He doesn't come back as often. You find that after maybe 5 chapters, he leaves because he knows you mean business. And maybe 1 chapter. I was calling Tara for a while saying, oh my goodness, it was an 8-chapter day today, and she knew what I was talking about, that we were under attack for some reason with something going on. So those are practical things you can do spiritually, to take care of that. Then the other thing is emotions. Okay, number 1 thing, it was you were born in 1972, right?
I don't know. Were you there?
I was really out of it.
You trying to block it out of your memory?
I was trying to. But I have not watched the news since 1972. I don't turn the news on. And oddly enough, I still know what's going on in the world. But it was during the Vietnam War. I was expecting with my first baby. My husband was overseas. And I had to move back home with my folks, so I wasn't by myself while he was gone. It was a traumatic time for me, to say the least. And that's when the guys came home from the war, and people were screaming at them, throwing rotten food at them, telling them that how horrible they were, and they had their legs and limbs gone. It was just, and you could see all this on TV. There was the protesting and all that stuff in Los Angeles, and it was horrible. It was much worse than even anything we're seeing now. I mean, it was just one thing after another, and I got so beyond depressed. I mean, it was just like almost non-functional. And it was like God told me one day, you stop watching this. It was doing nothing for me. It was doing nothing. So I made up my mind I was not going to watch the news again. And do you know, immediately I started having a different attitude. And so that's what...
I guarantee you, if it wasn't for the news, 99% of the stuff that is going on right now would not be going on.
Yeah.
Because the news is just feeding it.
Yeah, it's like
I guarantee you, that
Seattle,
like whatever a protester shut down, whatever thing is, you wouldn't even hear about it. Because you know what? They wouldn't be having a voice to say any of this nonsense.
It's like sourdough starter. It just gets wells up bigger and bigger. The more message just gets bigger and bigger. And so I started doing much better. Another thing you need to do is control your emotions. And you can do that. You say, no, I can't. I start worrying. Yes, you can. You control those emotions, and you don't let your emotions control you. I am not going to be a slave. I'm not going to be a slave to my emotions. And that's what you're doing. I mean, everybody talks about slavery, but if you have debt and your emotions control you, either one of those things, you are. And you need to, and it's you that's put your own self into slavery, which is even worse. You can stop doing, and you can do the same types of things that I just mentioned on the spiritual part. You can stand up, you can do something constructive, get a hobby, call somebody, email somebody. Even if you're deathly sick yourself and can't get out of bed, you can probably email somebody or send a card. Do you know, I got some packages and cards from our viewers. These cards mean so much to us. You may not think that they do, but they mean a lot to us. Just getting a simple card from somebody means so much. You can lay on that bed and write cards one after another and get your mind off yourself, your emotions, because when you're not, you tend to be more anxious and worried when you got to go in and think on yourself. When you can start thinking about others, and it doesn't have to always be physical stuff. So, or get up and clean a cabinet or a closet, or like I said, walk, do yard work, do something, clean out the garage. You can control these things. You just have to get active to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other thing is on the physical side of what I did physically in my mind. Oh, I prepared ahead of time. For all three of these, I prepared ahead of time.
And I did this too. And people think you're being a hoarder, prepper, whatever. No, you do it in a way that's helpful for you, but you're not cleaning out the whole entire toilet paper aisle. But
well, what I did, I always have 6 months to a year's supply of food, toilet paper, anything I need on hand. So I started preparing a long time ago. You know, I just slowly add stuff, and so I'm so well stocked with water, anything I need, and that was all set into place. Like I said, spiritually, I've been working on it for years so that when crises come, I can handle them now spiritually and emotionally. Well, then, not only that, each type of thing is different. For example, if I heard there was going to be a flood, I had the basic groundwork of the food prep, the water, the toilet paper, and the toiletries, those types of things. I've got all those prepared. But if it's going to be a flood and I hear it's coming, what I would do then is pull the stuff up from the basement or the lower levels, put sandbags. That's for a specific crisis. And each crisis has their own thing you need to do specifically. But if you have the other stuff down pat, you won't be spending your time running to the grocery store to get groceries and those types of things. You can spend your time on these other needs that needs to be done, and you can keep things under control. Yep. For example.
So like for this flu, as soon as we heard there was a big flu coming, well, what did you stock up on?
What I did was, first of all, when I heard about it, I went, and this is kind of odd, but see, you can keep your brains and wits about you if you're not worried and anxious. You can think straighter. I had a dentist appointment that was going to be sometime in the middle of April, and I think it was like the first week of March or something that they were talking about it. And so when I heard this, I thought, they're talking about shutting things down. I immediately, that very day, called my dentist office, and it was a major dentalist work. And I said, can I get it done sooner? She said, you can come in tomorrow. I got that taken care of. I knew was going to have that done. So I had that done. Then I went to the grocery store, and all that I got was, I had a loaf of bread, a thing of milk, and a dozen eggs. I put the milk and the bread in the freezer. The eggs I knew would last me for a month. And so I had everything else at home that I needed. Oh, I did get a bag of apples and some bananas. That was it, because I was prepared on the food level. I went and checked my stockpile of medications in case I got the flu. You see, I wasn't afraid of getting the flu because I was just preparing if I did get it. And I know from the sicknesses I've had in the past, I had to be careful, because what was I going to do? I maybe couldn't make it to the bathroom very well, so I made arrangements in case I had to just crawl into the bathroom because I was too weak. I figured plans for that. I made sure I had Vicks Vapor Rub because it was the symptoms was a cough. I had cough medicine, cough drops. I had
here's one thing, guys. So as soon as this started, when all the cough medicine was taken off the shelves because people were buying it, you could still get cough drops. You could still get Vicks Vapor Rub. You could still get menthol and eucalyptus essential oils. So I immediately went, and even though I couldn't get cough syrup, I stocked up on menthol and eucalyptus until I could find it. Then when they were saying it was getting really bad, then I was like, okay, I just started going from store to store to store, getting cough syrup for my family. And one morning I hit like 4 stores, but it wasn't like a ton. I just got like 1 or 2 containers at each store that I was able to.
Yeah,
But
I didn't have too much trouble because the minute I heard the stirrings of a quarantine, they hadn't officially said it, I started doing this stuff. So nothing was gone when I went in to get it. And I thought through, okay, what am I going to need? I even made sure I had things like, okay, I'm by myself. I will have nobody to take care of me. And so, I mean, my kids would have in a heartbeat, but I don't think I would want them to come in to take care of me because I didn't want them to have it. So I made sure I had crackers and that I had some sliced cheese.
7-Up, did you say
7-Up? No, I had 7-Up. I went and got 7-Up and some maybe soups. I got some soup stuff. Things that I could there would be a point I knew that I'd be so sick I couldn't even probably get the food up to my mouth, so I couldn't cook anything, let alone hardly open a can or anything. So I thought all of this through. How do I get this all prepared when I'm that sick? You just practically go through each and everything. And oh,
Nice.
Ellie!
Ellie got a new haircut, so I had to look.
She did. She looks
Wow.
cute.
You like it?
She looks
good.
really cute. So I went through, then I went to the bank and took care of my bank things, anything that I needed there. And on my way home from the bank, I stopped at the gas station and I made sure my tank of my gas was full, and I had 2 cans of gasoline in the garage. I made sure those were full. And then I did something strange, which I don't know if a lot of people thought about these things. And you have to think of these little things. Instead of thinking about the toilet paper and the obvious things, going with the crowd on the obvious stuff, you've got to, the first day I walked around doing things and I thought, okay, what will I be short of on everyday life? And I went and took my trash out and I thought, oh dear, I'm not going to have any trash bags because I've never bought trash bags before. I just use the sacks that I get when I go to the grocery store, the little, plastic bags. And I thought, if I'm not going to the grocery store or I'm too sick to go to the grocery store, I could run out of those easily because I use mine for all kinds of stuff and I don't have a stockpile. So I thought, I didn't want to go buy them at this point, and I thought, what am I going to do? Well, I was going to clean out my garage, and I had several big cardboard boxes. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to worry about the grocery sacks because I have cardboard boxes that I can put all the paper and, dry stuff in those and use those boxes to put my trash in and then take them out to the big can. I went downstairs. I have a whole stash of fabric, down in my basement, and I happened to be cleaning out my sewing room, and I was going to get rid of a lot of that. And I thought, or my scraps. I had some pieces that you just couldn't use in quilts and different things, and I was going to throw them out. I thought, I have plenty of toilet paper, but just in case I need rags for different things, maybe I better save that. So everything that I did, I just went around the house as I did things, thinking out of the box, trying to think, what can I do to replace this or, to take care of this situation. But once again, I wasn't curled up on the couch, scared, anxious, worried, watching the news. What good does that do, being glued to 4 or 5 hours watching the news? You are not practically taking care of anything. You can't even think rationally, let alone use any common sense in these situations, So you need to, what's Ellie Pratt's around?
Just laughing at her little ponytail again.
Yeah, she put her little ponytail in. And so that's why I say you need to get these things in place and prepared, get the big stuff out of the way and then just stay calm.
Well, and the other thing is to learn natural remedies. So I'm not like a huge, I don't think you have to do everything organic, everything natural, but like I know
you
if
mean
you
to
make
replace,
yeah,
if you
to
can't get
replace
the other stuff, something
what
to
can you
replace it.
use? So like I know that if you fry onions and then you put them in a dish towel and put them on your chest, that will help a cough significantly because I've had to use it before. Whiskey really helps a cough.
Oh, how do you know this?
Because I tried it on Dave.
I
Yeah.
tried it on Dave.
That was my first taste of alcohol, and I think it made me cough really bad for like a minute because it was so nasty.
Because I used it on Dave, because Dave used to get horrid coughs.
He did.
Like, I have a homemade cough syrup that's cayenne pepper and honey and lemon juice and apple cider vinegar that works really good for coughs. So learn these things.
I got to tell you, I don't drink, and I've never been to a liquor store. And I had pneumonia one time, and I could not get the cough taken care of, even having gone to the doctor. And it was horrendous. It was just awful. And so my girlfriend years ago said she had taken, I think it was whiskey or something she drank, and that it helped. So I called my neighbor who does drink, and I said, do you have a little tiny bit of whiskey or something that I could try a swallow of to see if it helped? Well, she went down to the liquor store and bought me these little tiny bottles of,
Yeah.
but I do have one stored
that's
in my
something
medicine
good.
cabinet because,
We don't drink, but that's something good to
Yeah.
have on hand. And even like in the Old West, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's good to have a bottle of that stuff around. If you have to sew somebody up or something, you want to knock them out. So, I mean,
Or it can be used
you
to
never
save
know when you're going to have, you never
don't.
know. So, it's kind of like,
So I hope that kind of answers you guys' questions on what I did, during the quarantine. And also, like I said, I went to the store like normal. Most of the people in Kansas, like when I went to Walmart last time, probably if there was 75 people there, maybe 10 people had masks, but the rest of them didn't. We didn't react. It's different, I know, in different parts of the country that some places are worse and you maybe need to be a little more cautious. But where I was, but see, there once again, I just used common sense for the area that I was in. And the kids came back 2 weeks ago. My grandkids drove back and visited me, and then we all drove home. So we were stopping at gas stations, all this type of thing. And when I got here, I last week took my 92-year-old mom to Walmart, and she wore a mask. Here in Colorado, they're a little more strict, so she wore a mask. But you know what I found interesting? I thought this kind of shows the way everybody's reacting to this. Emotionally, people can't handle this. You can't do this because there's now been more suicides in California than there have been deaths from the flu. Because they didn't take into consideration the emotional needs of people. But I noticed at Walmart here in Colorado, it's like everybody was walking around with their head kind of down, and they wouldn't make eye contact. Their shoulders were kind of like this. I thought, what is going on? It was like I was at some strange funeral type thing. It was kind of spooky going into the store here, with all their masks and everything.
Yeah. So first of all, Jonathan gave you $10 for your trip home.
Oh, thank
Super
you,
chat.
Jonathan.
You just paid for her gas money home.
Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you. That's sweet.
All right.
We love you, Jonathan.
Yes.
You know that.
All right. When we get our land, we are going to have you come out, Jonathan. Oh man, I found it yesterday. I won't get into it. I found it yesterday, and it had no internet. I was so sad. Okay, back to the topic on hand. Nancy wants to know, how do you put your trust in God at this time? Well, I think you kind of said that, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. But she also said, this is another thing. Do you believe that God may cause this virus for some reason? Oh boy. You can't really say, I don't think God actually causes these things. I think that they are from sin being in the world.
Sin and Satan, yeah.
But
it's a
he
fallen
allows
world.
them to happen for a greater good in the end. We don't always know for sure what that greater good will be. But,
for example, Job. He's the best example. Look, if you were Job at that time and all the stuff that was happening to him, you saw that happening, you think, what is God doing? How can he do this? In the end, when Job came out of that, it said he had double of, or so of everything. Mm-hmm. He had more children, more money, more everything. And I think, even though it doesn't say it specifically, I think he had more peace and more comfort and more closeness to God. And he knew God was there for him. His faith, he had double the faith when he came out of that. And not only that, but look what Job did to help people through the millenniums, years, thousands of years later. How much comfort has Job brought to other people? So you can't look at bad things as if it's something horrible that God's punishing you for or anything. Sometimes he allows it to test us, like a teacher will test a school child, and say, okay, let me test you and give you this test. None of us like tests, but they gave him because the teacher said, let me see if you're ready to go to the next level in faith with me and for blessings. And also that test not only shows the teacher you're ready to go on and move on, but it shows you when you pass that test. Do you know what confidence you feel and self-esteem when you come through that test and you make it and you pass it, especially if you pass it with an A and flying colors? You have more confidence. All these things God really does. If you want his will in your life, he really does work it for your good. He really, truly does that. But a lot of stuff is just caused from our own sin, from things God says, do not do this. I'll use one. Don't have sex outside of marriage. Do you know what happens when you do that? You get sexually transmitted diseases. You have children out of wedlock and then abortions. Look at all the stuff when you break that one commandment of God. And he gives us those commandments and those things not because not because he's a mean, harsh father, but he knows us well enough that it's going to hurt us if we do those things. The same way I would tell my kids, do not go near that street. Do not go near that street. And if they defied me and did it, they would get run over or hurt very badly. So I hope that answers.
So I just put a link to my healing Bible verses. I have a YouTube channel that's Bible verses for you to sleep with, or just if you're listening, just like reading or something. I put that link in there for you guys because someone said, how do you help? I'm overwhelmed with worry and anxiety. Well, if you're not a Christian, first of all, if you're a Christian, you need to give it to God. I mean, if you are worrying, you are telling God, I don't trust you.
You're worshiping Satan.
Period.
You're kind of worshiping Satan.
You're saying that you have absolutely no trust in God if you are a Christian. And so
you
it's
believe
just
the lies
flat
that
out
Satan's
wrong.
telling you.
So,
yeah.
Andrea, thank you for that super chat. Andrea gave us a $5.99 super chat.
Thank you.
Okay, next question is...
I hope that answered your question, Nancy.
You know what? And actually, you might tell them, even if they're not a Christian, they can ask God for that peace.
Yeah. If you are a Christian, ask God, pray and ask God to give you peace and to help you not worry and have anxiety. I mean, pray and ask for that and pray over and over and over until it comes.
The Bible says you have not because you ask.
Yeah.
If you're not, when I wasn't, I asked.
Yeah.
That's how he led me.
Yeah. God will lead you to where.
Like Mike said, when he wasn't
a
a Christian, he asked, and God showed him the way and helped him.
Okay, Shauna says, how do you walk the fine line of being prepared but also not panic buying and going overboard? Well, just figure out how much you need. So like for me, peanut butter goes bad in about 2 years. I bought 2 years worth of peanut butter. It won't go bad, but then every time we use up peanut butter, I just buy more and replace that stock. You just figure how much you need. So
you may have to write it down on a piece of paper.
Rice and beans will literally last 10 to 20 years. So I have probably 5 or 6 years worth of rice and beans. But they last a really long time, and we eat a lot of rice.
And she doesn't have that much of the other things,
Yeah, and so you just kind of figure out how much you need and go from there. Yes, Dave?
Andrea did a super sticker.
Yes, I called that one out.
Yeah.
Okay, Cindy says, in Maryland, I'm more concerned with the tension between people than I am over the CV.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, when
ridiculous.
I first heard about they were going to do this quarantine, I called Tara. I said, they don't know what they're going to be doing. People are going to go crazy emotionally in that when they do this quarantine. I said, it's not going to be pretty at all. It's going to be really bad. So it almost hurt us worse in one way because of all the stuff, you know, people losing their jobs. There's been child molesting, domestic abuse, you know, all kinds, murders, all kinds of crime is up since this happened. So it's like, I know we kind of had to do it, but you got to weigh it a little bit, you know, and see. And I'm not knocking that we did it, but I just wondered if we didn't jump into things, you know.
El Goma's sanitation question. If you're washing your hands with soap kills viruses and bacteria, then why do we clean our counters, doorknobs, and then sanitize? Well, you really don't need to.
Yeah, I don't.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you use hot soapy water, it is the friction that kills the bacteria and the
Exactly.
virus. They have determined.
See, it's all over the internet. People say, well, you have to, I watch these cleaning shows, and this gal gets a cleaner out for doing her table, a cleaner out for doing her countertops, one for wiping the refrigerator, another for the stove. I use hot soapy water. The only time I use anything extra in my kitchen is whenever I have chicken, raw meat. I will put a little bit of, a little bit. I'm not talking a half a cup. I'm talking a couple of capfuls of Clorox in my water and wipe down the counters with that when I use raw meat. Just, you know, to be on the safe side for that. But otherwise, hot soapy water gets normal flu stuff, and that's around. And then, but something like this, if you want to be a little cautious, you could maybe just spray a little Lysol or something.
Well, and why you do doorknobs and stuff is because if you touch it and then you touch your face, that's why you do those types of things. But okay, next one is.
Did you see Suzanne earlier? She said she paid off on her thing, but then now she says she asked a couple times about frugality.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go to that. Okay, so next question. Suzanne wants to know, I struggle between frugality and quality, but I feel like I'm always wanting quality is hindering my savings. So that's kind of an excuse for wanting to spend money. I have noticed a lot of people who say they want quality because it'll last longer. Now, nowadays, pretty much, if you live in the United States, 90% of your stuff is made in China. And really, the quality is not
quite there. Not like it was years ago.
No,
years
it's
ago,
not.
you know, you could say that, but now it's not quite the same.
And here's the thing on that. People will say, oh, I'm going to go buy my $200 pair of shoes because I want quality so they'll last. Well, here's the thing. You can buy your $20 pair of shoes or your $200 pairs of shoes, or you can buy 10 of $20 pairs of shoes at Walmart. A pair of $20 shoes at Walmart will last 6 months to a year. A pair of $200 shoes may last you 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 or 6 years. But you will get way more years out of that. Now, is that environmentally good? Is that whatever? You know, I really don't put that into a factor, because if you need to save money, you need to save money now.
I save the environment in other ways. And you'd be surprised. You probably will save the environment more with your frugality than you would with.
Stop worrying about the environment and that kind of thing, because going to the thrift store right there alone is huge. We save more money just going to the thrift store. And as far as clothes and stuff go, I figure if it's made it to the thrift store and it's still in good condition, then it's probably going to stay in good condition for quite a while longer for me.
Oh, yeah, for me.
So that's why,
I have shoes that I bought at the thrift store for like $2 or so, and I've had them for 15 years. And they're still good, you know, so.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, Anita says, I just wanted to say I bought your Dining on a Dime cookbook. Only 80 copies left, guys, until the new batch comes in September. And I already love it. There are so many tips my own mom and grandma have taught me. Thank you, from Anita in Austria.
Oh, Austria. Oh,
yes, that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Okay, trying to build, and by the way, the ebook is going to be available. The ebook is still going to be available. I'm trying to build my emergency kit, says El Gomez. A lot of kits are tactical and don't seem practical for a family. I saw your video focused on focused on food. Is there anything else? Yeah, so we did another video after that on other things like medical and that kind of thing. So go watch that video right after that. What version of the Bible do we use? So we have many different versions of the Bible. The NLT, the New Living Translation, is actually the easiest to read, I think.
I use the New King James version.
Yeah, or NIV, New International
NIV is a
Version.
good one.
Several of those different versions are just fine, so that will work. Denise wanted to know what Shayla did with all of the magnets she got. She has a huge magnet wall in her office. It's pretty
We're
cool.
wanting to show you sometime. I mean, it's
Yeah.
above her desk, and it's on a whole big, huge wall. It looks so cool. So
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, Judy got a leather coat for $8 at a thrift store 10 years ago, and it still looks new. Yeah. I mean, there is quality, guys. I'm not saying that you can't just buy anything quality anymore, but is the cost actually worth it? Is it worth paying $500 for a leather jacket versus $8 at the thrift store? No, not by any means.
Can I tell my story about Sherry?
Yeah.
I had a lady I did ironing for one time, and they were so deep in debt. She came from a kind of a wealthy family, but her and her husband weren't wealthy, that they were on verge of divorce. They had 3 little kids, and she finally broke down one night and just asked me if I could help them. I wasn't even doing this type of thing, then. And so I told her I would help her, and she asked if I could come over and talk to her husband too. So I went over there and talked to them both, and I did some serious talking with them, and I told them what to do, and I told her, I said, she went and bought everything at the most expensive store that we had in town at that time. And they had no money. She couldn't even pay me for the ironing. She took her credit card to this very expensive card and bought me a very expensive iron to pay me for doing the ironing, because she just didn't have cash or anything. They had a expensive car, and the parts for that car was almost the amount of a car payment that they'd have to, they were very, they had to have them shipped in. And she said, do you think we should get rid of this car? And I said, yes, even though she'd gotten it for nothing from her parents. They were spending more on car parts for this high-end car than they would of a car payment. So, but she said, I can't do it. She said, there's just something in me. I have to buy good quality and go to the best stores, because that's just the way I was brought up. So when I had this talk with them, I worked out things, and I said, you've got to do this. And I didn't know if they'd do it or not. And years later, she came back, and she was beaming from ear to ear. And she said, you're not going to believe this. She said, not only did I stop going to that expensive store, I told her to take baby steps. I said, if you can't go to garage sales, we didn't have thrift stores as much then. I said, if you can't go to garage sales, I said, at least start finding a less expensive store to go to.
Hand-me-downs or something.
Like
yeah.
Walmart. She said, I could never go to Walmart. I just couldn't, let alone wear garage sale stuff. I couldn't do it. Well, she came back. She said, I started out buying stuff at Walmart, and I couldn't believe the difference. And she said, then one day I got brave and I stopped at a garage sale. And she said, you would not believe it. I will not buy anything new ever again. She said, I go and get everything at garage sales if I possibly can, for clothes for her kids. She was beaming. Here was this woman who had been so burdened down because she was trying to buy the best stuff she could, for her family. And it was just like night and day, the joy in her face. So,
well, and here's the thing.
It's
People
hard.
say
it's a habit. It's the way you've been taught. So it's kind of hard. So take little baby steps, and try to do that.
Well, and people say, oh, you'll get a disease from the clothes, or you'll get a disease wearing used shoes, or your kids' feet will be deformed if they wear used shoes. Those are all lies. You can wash all that stuff. You bring it home, throw it in the washer, wash it really well. If you're worried about foot fungus or whatever, get some athlete's foot spray down the shoes, spray them really well, then put them in the washer, sanitize them in the washer on hot water. You can do it. One person said, what works in your house doesn't work for others. Yes, it does.
Yeah,
I'm
we've
sorry, but you are wrong.
The
That's
tips.
It will work. You just don't want to work.
The tips are basic tips.
And that's fine if you wanna
don't
stay in
spend-
debt, yeah.
Don't spend more money than you bring in. That's a basic tip for any household, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, you're just making excuse and being irresponsible with your money. If you are in debt, I'm sorry, you cannot afford it. Period. You just can't.
Yeah.
You're making excuses. And there are plenty. We have driven 70 miles each way to go get groceries when we lived in no man's land in Idaho. And that's what we had to do at that point. But you do what you need to do to get yourself out of debt and help your family. And getting out of debt needs to be a major priority for you now.
Mm-hmm.
Our economy isn't tanking like they're saying it is. It's not. I know everyone says it is. We went up to the mountains the other day. The line of cars
1
was
mile.
absurd.
1 mile long.
Absolutely
next to each other
absurd.
to go into the park and stuff.
It's not tanking because people aren't spending. Mom read the other day that people are spending 17% more during being locked down than they were during normal times. So you need to stop listening to all the hoo-ha that's going on, because all they're doing is telling you lies.
Everybody's into mantras, you know. You got to say this, that you are strong, you can get this job, you can do this, and put it in writing in front of you on the wall and read it every day, and these positives, you have confidence. They're very into mantras to doing that. Well, that can go to the other direction too, because all I'm hearing now is in these hard times, in these stressful times, in these unprecedented times, uncertain times, those are mantras too,
It's
and they're
crazy.
negative ones. Why are you guys listening to those? And the same people that were saying you should say positive mantras are now doing all these negative ones, and you're following along to what they're saying to do with these. You've got to stop being kind of brainwashed into listening to this stuff all the time. If you hear something over and over enough, you're going to start believing it and thinking it's true. I found this out to be true years ago. I heard this song on the radio, and I thought, that is the awfulest song. I did not like that song at all.
Oh.
But every time I turned, I can't even remember what it was now, but every time I turned the radio on, here was the song again. And it kept playing, and they played it. After about a month, this was like the most popular song in the country, and I thought, well, you know, that is kind of a good song. I do kind of like that song. I went from this is awful to this is not too bad because I'd heard it so much, and everybody's ranting and raving. I'd started believing something that I didn't believe in the first place. So you've got to be careful not to let yourself be brainwashed. You're repeating things you've heard them say, and everybody else on YouTube say, and everybody else in the world say, and you've got to be careful with those things. Did I talk too much?
No.
Oh.
You can continue. Keep going. Okay, so let's see what other questions we have here. Okay.
Andrea said she's noticing so many new cars on the roads there in Australia.
Yeah,
Oh,
you see
really?
it
Mm-hmm.
Here too. On the way back from Kansas, we saw so many.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, the highway coming from Kansas to Colorado 70 was just packed. It really was.
Yeah.
I thought there would be no cars on the road. It was
Also,
just packed.
So many tourists. We saw 26 different license plates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we saw
Like different
tourists like crazy when we went up to the mountains on Saturday. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay, Susanna wants to know what protein to stock up that's not perishable. So dried beans are the number one. Canned beans, if you're going from economy, dried beans are number one, canned beans number two, and then you can get into your canned tunas, your canned roast beef, your canned chicken. It would be tuna, chicken, and then roast beef in that order of expense. Any of those kinds of things. Protein powders are a good one. Nowadays, we have so many protein powders. You could get something like protein powders, too, that would work for that. Susan wants to know, do you all use a washcloth when you wash your face or just your hands? Watch the makeup videos today. I use my hands and baby shampoo.
I use a washcloth. Now, I have a special washcloth that came with my cleanser, but it's the same thing as a flour sack dish towel. It's soft. It's very, very soft. It's not quite so rough.
And Frankie said, I'm officially 50% done with cooking my way through the cookbook.
Frankie!
Wow! We have over 1,200 recipes and tips in here. So this is like, there's 500 and something just recipes. So this is
You've
more
been
than a
working
year.
hard, girl.
Almost 2 years worth of cooking. You go.
That's good.
That's pretty cool.
Oh.
Wow, I'm impressed. Let's see. Yeah.
Allie, I don't know if you saw, but Allie asked, do you have a large print Bible for a legally blind person?
Do we have a large? Yeah, we can send you one, Allie, if you want. Just email us, editor@livingonadime. Go to the contact page is better. Go to livingonadime.com. At the top, click contact, and we have a little section there. I would like a free Bible, and just put in there large print, please, and we can do that for you. How long is the protein powder still good after the expiration? I've got some that's a couple years old.
Oh, yeah.
I keep trying to buy protein powder. I don't know why. I keep trying protein powders to see. Some of them make me really sick, but I keep trying them to see if I can drink them. And they make me really sick, and then my kids find them in the back of the cupboards, and then they start making themselves smoothies or whatever.
But
a couple years
you
later.
can't
But yeah.
stockpile this, but you can think of other ways of getting protein besides meat. You can do eggs. Milk has a lot of protein, so if you have powdered milk, you know that has protein. And cheese has a lot of protein. And so those are other things besides meat that you can do.
Yeah, Diane, I think, said, I was just complaining to my husband the other day. I'm so sick of hearing people say, in these uncertain times.
Yeah.
In reality, times are always uncertain.
They are.
Yes,
I
they're
know.
always uncertain. You never know what's going to happen.
Their buzzword that I think the media is using to get everybody hyped up and excited.
Mike could drop dead tomorrow, and I would be a single. Oh no, he just went now. And then I would
lost Mike.
be a widowed single mom. I mean, I could drop dead. You never know.
I think that's why I don't panic in these times, because I've had so many things like that happen out of the blue. Unbelievable, awful things happen.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stay in crisis. You can't
stay in
panic.
crisis your whole life.
Yeah, so.
Cindy wants to know, any ideas for leftover hamburger buns? Yes, croutons, bread pudding, breadcrumbs. Spread them with a little bit of butter and cinnamon sugar and toast them, or butter and garlic powder and toast them under the broiler.
I love them toasted with just butter under the broiler, and then I put chili. They have such a good flavor.
Yeah,
oh,
just toast them in the toaster if you want.
Really yummy.
Did you already see Andrea Campo's thing? I will be debt-free by the end of the year. So excited.
Oh, Andrea is going to be debt-free by the
wow.
end of the year.
Now, you guys, we have had more
great.
people that are getting there. This is so good. And see, these people are proof. A lot of them, I know, not her necessarily, but others we've had that said it wouldn't work, you know, there's no way. And they're working hard. They just got up and they started working at it, and they're doing it. That's all it takes. And they live all over the world, all different types of situations.
Yeah, another protein is milk. I forgot about dry milk. Wanda wants to know any alternatives for powdered dry milk. I don't know of any dry milk alternatives unless you're just doing like a protein powder or something. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Rosimi? I don't know. I probably slaughtered that. I'm sorry. I was having a talk with my sister-in-law the other day about that I wanted to be debt-free. She told me everybody has some sort of debt. That is normal. I'm going to show her that is not normal. You go. It's not. You be abnormal. This being normal is what's ruining everybody.
People have the mindset that this is what's the way life is supposed to be, and it's not. I mean, it never was years ago. People didn't have debt like that.
El Gomez, paying student loans or emergency fund first. Emergency fund first. Get $1,000 in first, and then I would put half on your emergency and then half on your student loans until you get to $5,000 emergency. When you have $5,000 for an emergency, you can cover a car, you can cover a refrigerator, washer, dryer, anything major that breaks. Most medical bills that have a co-payment, that kind of thing, you can cover most of those. So I would put emergency first, $1,000, then do half and half until you get to $5,000, and then put everything on there. Let's see. Silver Original said, when the panic happened, I didn't go shopping. I already had all I needed at home. Yep, me too. I only went shopping for shows.
Yeah.
I know I did videos on it, but quite frankly, guys, I just did it for the videos. I know, but I did not have to go fill my freezer with me. But because they were saying that, I went and did it, and I thought this is going to be a great show, and it was. So
yeah, I didn't have to do. I got that milk and bread and eggs just because it was. What happened was it was my time to go to the grocery store, for my 2-week period, and I just got milk, bread, and eggs, and a couple of fruit.
Brooklyn is $500 away from paying off her only credit card and 2 years away from paying off your SUV. You go.
Oh, wow.
Good.
The testimonies we're getting tonight.
She has learned her lesson.
Yeah. And you know what? Somebody had said, well, if I get out of debt, won't I just go right back in? I bet you every one of these people on here that are close or have gotten out of debt would tell you not in their lifetime again will they get into that debt, because the freedom you feel and the burden that's lifted, it changes your life. You can't explain it, you can't.
Anita, you may send your recipes, just send it to go to livingonadime.com, click on contact, then just send it to general questions or comments. You can send that there. We have actually talked about doing a reader cookbook.
For years we've wanted to do one.
If we can get caught up on all the other 3,000 cookbooks we're working on right now, we had thought about actually doing a reader cookbook. So send it to us and maybe we'll put it together. Let's see.
Did you see Harley's question?
Harley.
Is it a good idea to pay off credit cards if I have the money? I would, but I worry whether my job will last. If it ends, jobs are very rare and I have 2 kids.
So Carly wants to know if she should pay off her credit card or save up the money if she loses her job. So that's kind of where you have to figure out, because she said that they're hard to find jobs and she's got 2 kids. So that's one of those things you kind of have to figure out for yourself. What I would do is keep paying as much as you can on the credit card. Get yourself 1 or 2 months savings built up if you're that worried about your job going away. And then really just keep hammering hard. I mean, even get a second job if you could. I know they're hard to find where you're at, but just see if there's something you can do or
now
cut
what
back
happened
or
with
sell
me,
or...
see, when my husband lost his job, we were 4 months without work. And then we started our own business, which was, several months down the road until we actually had stuff coming in. And what I found out was, if I had that, the only thing I could not pay at that time was the credit card debt. If I hadn't had that, we could have survived on little things like my husband did piano lessons, and I've done ironing before, and that little amount we could survive off of.
Every little amount.
Even 10 hours a week working, I could have survived on if I hadn't had the debt. But because we had the debt, it was a nightmare. So I suggest, I would try to get as much as that credit card debt gone, because you'd be amazed how much you can, how little you have to live on when you get rid of that credit card debt.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Karen said I have eggs dated for June 2nd. Can I still use them?
Karen has eggs dated June 2nd. So here's how you can tell. Get a bowl of water. If they, which is it?
Maybe the viewers can
hold
pop
on,
up and tell us.
just a second. If they float, let's see, if they sink to the bottom, they are still good. If they float, they are bad. Okay? If they're somewhere in between, like they stand up or they're just kind of in the middle, they're still good. But if they just rise to the top and float, they're not good. When they sink, they're still good.
And I'll tell you, they're probably still good, because I've kept eggs a month after
I would say they're probably, I would use them if it was me.
A month after their date before.
Yeah, I would use life insurance. If you can afford it and you have a wife and kids, I would suggest you have insurance. If you're single, you don't really need life insurance. If it's mom and dad, you don't really need life insurance unless you need it for the wife to live. But,
And another thing, if you can't quite afford life insurance, at least have insurance on, if you have a mortgage on your home, get that insurance that if something happens to you.
I don't know if they still have that.
Oh, do they not have that?
I don't. Check and see. They might.
If they have that insurance on your mortgage, and if something happens to you, the mortgage would be paid off, at least check into that type of insurance, if nothing else,
Yeah.
if you can't afford anything else.
Yeah, somebody said, how do I wash my hair if I don't have shampoo? Mom hasn't
haven't
used
used
shampoo in
shampoo
years.
in
She
years.
uses baking soda. Mike, go to the website and get that link for the shampoo free.
Great.
Michael put that link on there for you.
I just use baking soda, and that's what's kind of nice. I keep a lot of baking soda in
Yeah.
my prep stuff because I can use it for so many different
Yeah.
things. You can brush your teeth with it. You can do your shampoo your hair.
Yep. Aw, Jennifer. She said, I've told you guys before, but you guys have helped me get the confidence to get off my rear and get a job, as well as to face my spending habits. I appreciate y'all so much. We love you, Jennifer.
Yes, that is hard to do. When somebody does something
Yeah.
like that, that takes a lot. And that's why I'm so proud of everybody when they tell us these things, because I know it's hard to do, to break old habits and start new ones. It's really hard.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. And my homemade soap works really good for shampoo.
Well, that's
too,
another
so-
thing. If you get desperate, you don't have to use shampoo.
Yeah.
People used to always just use regular bar soap that they wash their bodies with. Most of the soap that you have in the house, now not the dishwasher soap maybe, but you could even use the dish soap if you were in a desperate pinch. It's soap.
Yeah. Mike just put that link on there. Thank you, Michael. All right, we got a couple of packages we're going to open real quick here while we get any last. So first of all, these are all for Mom's birthdays next week. Thank you, guys.
I got presents.
We got this huge box, or I think I did. I think it was me.
She wants to claim it all.
From Barbara P. Thank you, Barbara. She sent me a whole box
You should
Of
see.
gluten-free-
Of course, half of it's been eaten.
of gluten-free goodies, a couple of teas. Half of this is already gone. Honey nuts, arrowroot. I mean, she just sent me this huge box of gluten-free fun stuff. Thank you. That was so nice. I so
We
appreciate
got the
it.
best.
I absolutely loved it.
I got this from, I don't have my glasses on, it's got a card. Oh, this came today. Let me get my glasses here. It is from Helter Skelter. Lorena, Helter Skelter. And we share the same birthday. I will remember you on my birthday. I sure will. That is so cool that we have the same birthday.
That's fun.
That's sweet.
Oh, we got a $10
That's-
super chat from Diane.
Oh,
wow.
Diane sent us $10 for
Okay,
Bible
what-
money. Yes, if you guys want a Bible, we give away Bibles. Go to livingonadime.com, click the contact at the top, and we have a form for Bibles. Fill out the whole form because we need your address. We keep having people emailing us say, I want a Bible, and they don't give us their address. So we need your address to do that. So thank you, Diane. We will pass that along.
Okay, guys, look what I got. Chocolate. Oh, my goodness. Are you guys... ooh. Coffee Chris. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
You guys know me well. Oh, my goodness.
oh, that's good stuff.
That's good stuff. This one's a gold
Who's
one.
this even from? Oh, this is
From
okay.
Helter Skelter.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you. As a matter of fact, I am
So
really
I
getting
think
short
we should
of
check and see
candy.
if Hershey's in
No, we shouldn't.
French Canada is the same as. See, Ellie is.
Ellie's already. Now the grandkids are coming up.
I'll just hold it for you.
She's
You'll
just
just
gonna
hold
hold
it
it.
for me. Yeah. Listen to this. I don't trust you guys. Thank you.
A lot of people saying happy birthday, Jeff.
Thank you guys.
Oh,
I
I
love
yeah.
birthday so much. This is from Cat Lover.
I've had Canadian chocolate before and it's good.
I've never seen anything like this.
Ice cream milk chocolates.
They're ice cream
I think we should
cones.
open it up and see what they
No.
look like.
Fannie Mae. Oh, yum. Oh, yum. Caramels. I love caramels, chocolate, and nuts. Caramels.
Try one. Are those homemade? Did you make those?
Did you
Cat
make
Lover?
those? Let me try it. I'm sorry. I hate to eat in front of you guys, but...
Caramel's like my favorite food in the whole world.
I've got to get that recipe.
Oh,
if you
that's
made them.
good. Man, Patty,
I've got
send
to
me your
get that recipe.
send me your
because
recipe.
That's some of the best caramel I've ever tasted. I thought the grandkids were
Wow.
coming. Oh, Dave. Starburst. Freeze-dried Starburst. Oh, look at these
Wow.
guys. They're freeze-dried. I would give anything to have a freeze-dry thing. Look at that. They're little tiny. She made them tiny.
We got $20 from Candace and family for Bible money too.
Oh, thank you.
Aw. Thanks.
Send the
What is
Bible-
this?
Yeah, we have been giving away.
Oh, look at how strange this looks. It's so cute.
What is it?
It's banana bread. Little bitty.
Freeze-dried banana bread.
Yeah, I can't wait to try
Oh,
that.
I think we should.
Yes. Ooh, and tea. Orange spice. Oh, yum. I love orange spice flavored teas. Oh my goodness, you did too much. This is so.
Holy
Oh
cow!
my. Oh my. Now.
I think you need help.
Oh,
See, this
chamomile.
box
Oh,
got a little
good.
smushed
Oh,
in.
yum.
This got a little smushed in.
No,
so
it doesn't need to
I
be
don't know that
opened.
it would be.
Oh, you guys, thank you. This is so cool. I got
Patty,
one
that
more.
was so nice.
I got one more. Oh, you got Fannie Mae's, huh? Thank you, Patty. Thank you
Aw,
so much. That is
you
so
guys.
cool. Then I got this card from, I did open it. This is so funny. This is from Karen Ann.
Oh, is that the one you read earlier?
Yes. This, Karen Ann has sent me stuff, I don't know how many years now. And just so you guys know how much this means to me, I have like 3 of Karen Ann's cards in my kitchen alone. Well, I've got, she gave me a Bible mark, and she knows that one of my favorite verses is be still and know I am God.
Yep.
And she even in the corner of this card, she made this card. She put that verse, that little verse in there, and she made this card. I've got the Bible bookmarker that she gave me in my Bible. And I love it when you guys do these cards. They're so absolutely cool. They really are. And so and this, she sent this. Okay, you guys are going to love this one. It says, being an adult is like folding a fitted sheet. No one really knows how. Can you believe that?
Mom knows how.
I can't believe that's so cute.
That's hilarious.
I know. I'm going to hang that up on my special bulletin board. That is so cute. And should I read her letter here?
You don't have to.
She said she didn't mind if we...
Oh, okay.
She said, she said, I've already implemented and am continuing to implement from what I've learned. I now have a new roof thanks to your penny pinching show on how Jill got her new roof. And then she goes on to describe how the insurance adjuster denied my claim about 2 years ago. Many of my neighbors had hail damage and got their new roofs. For over a year, I kept seeing people around town getting new roofs. I decided to call a roofing company, and they took a photo, submitted my claim, and I got my new roof. If I had not watched your program, I would not have pursued this a second time. We keep saying, if you can't figure it out, try something else. Keep trying at these things. Don't just give up. And she did. She got a new roof. I got rid of carloads of stuff and threw out bags of junk. I enlisted the help of my sister and niece when they came to visit. You recommended this, and it helped me release. In the process, my sister found my birth certificate I had in a purse in the garage. I also found 2 bags of lentils. I think they were from Y2K, the supposed crisis of 2000. I still have a lot of decluttering to do. I have more compassion for people with chronic health problems like you have. Not all disabilities are visible. Oh, she said, question, Did the man ever get out of your basement? Ha, I think this one was one of your programs that didn't get recorded. Please tell us the story and if he got out. So,
All right, so tell did the guy, so tell the basement story real quick. And thank you, Stacy gave us $10 for more
Thank you,
Bible money.
Karen Ann.
Oh my goodness, guys, we have been sending out a lot of Bibles, so thank you very much. We
you
really
guys,
appreciate it.
it's helps.
That comes
We
from
can-
our personal, we don't have any, what? That just comes from our own personal money.
And
We
whatever
don't-
you guys
yeah.
happen to, yeah.
So anything you guys donate, we put it straight to that, and thank you.
It all
I
goes
actually
to
got
that.
2 more boxes yesterday,
The
or
Bible.
this week of Bibles. I got one yesterday and then one a couple days ago this week of Bibles. So thank you, Stacy. Tell the basement story.
Well, thank you, first of all, guys. Thank you for everything, Jonathan, everything, all you guys. I do appreciate it. But the basement story was, one time I heard, let's see, I went and heard, my mind's frying a little bit. I heard my basement doors, my house was such that you had to walk outside the back door and just go around the corner of the house and then take another door down into the basement, and then there was a second door you went through, and you were in this like cellar-like dark basement. We had no windows in there, and the light switch was really odd. It was up high on the ceiling in a weird place. But anyway, one day I heard this basement door slam shut really loud, and I thought, well, who's going into my basement? Because I could hear the door shut. Pretty soon I heard all these police running down my driveway, and there was like a convenience store in the across the alley behind our house, and we had people run through there quite often. And I heard these police in my driveway, so I went out the back door and I told them, I said, are you looking for somebody? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, I think he just went into my basement. And they kind of looked at me odd, but they said, well, we'll go ahead and check it. And they went in there. I said, I need to go down first because you don't know where the light is or anything. But they wouldn't let me go down. They thought I was crazy, so they wouldn't let me go down. And they kind of looked around.
Because the light was on the ceiling.
Yeah, it's a really weird
Yeah.
place. Unless you know where it's at, you can't find it. So they looked around and came back up and said, well, no, there's nobody down there. And they left. Well, pretty soon, it wasn't, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes later, I could hear somebody down there crashing around. We had all kinds of piano parts, stacks of wood stuff for our piano stuff, tools, and it was just piled, wasn't it, with things. And I could hear this poor person down there in the dark crashing around in my basement. I thought the man's going to kill himself down there. What had happened, we have a crawl space. You go into this basement and you can crawl up into this crawl space area, and you can hide in there. And even shining a flashlight, you wouldn't be able to see if anybody was down in there. And he kept crashing, and I thought, do I call the police? And I thought, no, they're just going to think I'm this crazy lady that's bothering them, and I didn't know what to do. So I just kept hearing crashing, 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 worrying whether the man was killing himself again. And finally, it got really, really quiet. And so about 30 minutes, it'd be quiet, and then I hear more crashing. He couldn't find his way out because it was so dark, and he kept running into things. So finally I thought, well, maybe eventually he'll figure it out, and I didn't know what to do. So we went to bed. I went to bed. I know I should have been afraid, but I went to bed, and then fell asleep. And I heard once in the night, I woke up because I heard more crashing again in the night. Then it got quiet. And so the next morning, it was about 6:30, my son, who had his bedroom upstairs, he went out, he had a back entrance to his little apartment upstairs. He left for work. He drove the car out of the driveway, which went right past the basement door, went for work, and we had one little tiny hole in there, and the sun was just coming up, and it just gave a little tiny bit of light. Well, as soon as that car went down the driveway, it was like maybe 5 minutes later, I heard the basement doors open and shutting. So he made his way out of the basement. I don't know whatever happened to him after that. I wasn't going to figure out, but sure enough, I went into the basement later on, and it was a shambles where you could see he just about killed himself down there, running around the basement. So that's my basement, man in the basement story. But so anyway.
All right. Several people have asked how to donate to Bibles. You can send it to Living on a Dime, P.O. Box 193, Meade, Colorado 80542. We are not a nonprofit. We have actually.
If they write it to Living on a Dime, then
Oh, yeah.
it's tax.
Yeah, so don't write it to Living on a Dime. That's right. Okay, hold on. Just ignore everything I just said. If you want to donate for Bibles, send it to Mike or Tara Kellum. Mike Kellum's fine. Nobody can spell my name. That's fine. Send it to Mike Kellum, P.O. Box 193, Meade, Colorado 80542, because then that money doesn't get taxed. But we're not a nonprofit, so you can't write it off on your taxes or anything yet. We kind of looked into it a little bit. We might do that later if we keep building on this. It's kind of snowballing on the Bibles thing. We never anticipated sending out this many. But we do, don't worry, we do absolutely send
100%.
100% of that money goes to Bible. We don't keep it for ourselves, nothing. As soon as I get money in, I just use it to order Bibles. And then we just ship them right out. So if you want to do that, Mike Kellum, P.O. Box 193, Meade, Colorado 80542.
How many have you sent out? Do you know?
How many? I don't. We've sent out several hundred now. Yeah. So I don't know how many. I didn't keep track. I should have. But let's see. Jane said, off subject, but I tried your oatmeal muffin recipe, did some dried fruit, and they were delicious. Yay! My daughter stopped by and tried one and said it's her new favorite muffin. That's the muffin that I go to, Dining on a Dime Cookbook. That's the one that I always make for my family. That's the one that we eat a lot of. Actually, I haven't made that for a while. I think I should do that. I've been doing so much recipe testing that I was making all this crazy stuff. And my poor family, they would eat something and they were like, okay, is this a recipe test? Because they know they're not supposed to complain about the food if something happens and it's burned or whatever. But
If
you can
it's
tell
a
they're like,
test
okay,
recipe, it's
so
different.
Mom, do I tell you what I think about this or do I just eat it?
Mike says, is this a recipe test?
Mike's like, is this a recipe test? So I'm like, no, it's not, just eat it. So then I got burned out because I was testing like 5 and 10 recipes a day for a long time there. And then I really burned myself out. So now I don't want to do anything at all. But all right, we are going to go. This is Mom's last day. She's leaving.
But I'll be chatting with
Going
you guys
back
on
home.
Monday, so
Yeah.
that I love doing that. even
So we have a whole bunch of videos that we have pre-recorded that we're going to be putting out about one a week with Mom. And so you can look forward to those. And somebody wants to know, Bible translations. Yes. New King James Version, New Living Translation, New International Version. Those are the top ones that we mostly use. Do not use the New World Translation. Don't use that one.
It's intentionally.
That is intentionally misleading and not the actual Bible. Do not get the New World Translation. That is not the same as the Holy Bible. Okay. Anyway, Candy, you can go find the shampoo-free recipe at Mike's sharing a link, and at Living on a Dime, just type in shampoo, and it'll come up. livingonadime.com. Please like, subscribe, and share. We will be back Monday.
Thank you guys so much for my stuff.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but we might, if we can get it done, have the new Dining on a Dime ready on Monday for the ebook and start doing that. We have 80 at the start of the show. I don't know how many people have bought cookbooks, but 80 at the start of the show left. That's all we have left of this edition. Then we're not going to have any more until September. Okay? Probably the first week of
And they
September.
won't have the stuff that's in there.
They're not going to be the 20th
They'll have the
anniversary.
recipes, but not the.
Okay, so we only have 60 books left. I just checked to see how many we've sold since the show. So we only have 60 books left. If you want one, this is the cheapest price it's going to be. I'm sorry, but due to printing costs, the price is going up. So this will probably be the cheapest that you're going to have unless we don't find a house and then we find a house and we have to sell a whole bunch of books. I'm not going to say it's never going to be cheaper, but you know.
Tell them thanks for the Happy Father's Day.
Oh, Mike
he
said
said
thanks for
thanks.
That's right. Happy Father's
It is
Day.
Father's
I
Day.
forgot. Oh dear, that's not good.
Hey, you just being here.
So,
Oh, Dave said just him being there is good enough
yes,
for him.
Music Mad, we are praying for you
Yes.
and your cancer, and we are praying for healing for you and that it will go well. Please keep us updated.
Yeah,
'cause we
I
wanna
asked
know how
Tara
you're
and Mike
doing,
that
so-
first thing when I got here. If they heard from you.
So, anyway, livingoutadime.com. We'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.